This Alex Raikhel, one of our newly arrived neighbors here. If you haven't made his acquaintance yet, please make sure you do soon. I am going to just turn it right over to Alex, and I know you're going to give him all your full attention. So you go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So today I'm going to discuss mosquitoes, diseases, and human health. Diseases transmitted by blood-feeding insects have reached a state of human catastrophe. This is the painting by Edward Mule, a very famous one, which is symbolize all horrors in the world. So, to show you how many people would die or get sick during our talk, I will start this count. So, here is a so-called phylogenetic tree. It shows different insects and other creatures related to them. Pictures show the blood-feeding organisms. You see so many of them, even butterflies can feed on blood. But we will talk today only about focus on mosquitoes, highlighted by this big arrow. Do you hear me? Okay. So mosquitoes are the deadliest animals in the world. They cause over 700,000 people per year death, more than humans themselves. And you can see others are really not significant. Mosquitoes are really perfect biting machines, as you can experience yourself. They are attracted by heat of our body, CO2, which we emit, lactic acid, and other chemicals emitted by human body. They have a specialized mouth parts for penetration of the skin and reaching blood vessels. Mosquito saliva is very interesting because it contains substances that prevent blood from coagulation and relax blood vessels, so they can really feed without obstruction. And finally, digestion has a lot of enzymes which break down blood components rapidly. So you can see here that basically the simple cycle between human and mosquito. Mosquito bites a sick person, acquire pathogens, and after this transmit them into next person. And this is you can see on the left, on your right, actually mosquito fully completed feeding and laying eggs. Mosquitoes are disease vectors because they require blood for the maturation of the eggs. During successive cycles of blood feeding, mosquitoes acquire and transmit pathogens. Only females feed blood. Males consume the flower nectar. Males are very gentle. Important stages of parasite development occurs not only in the vertebrate host in a human, but also in the mosquito. So it's important to recognize it's not a syringe. It's a necessary few days when parasites develop in the mosquito. So here's a world map showing how many deaths per million occur in on different continents, and you immediately see that Africa leads the way. It's also leads the way by the number of different diseases. So Africa suffers a lot. So mosquitoes are vectors of many devastating diseases. First of all, malaria. As I already mentioned, it's over 750,000 deaths per year, with 500 million clinical cases per year. Dengue fever, it's a viral disease transmitted by mosquitoes, and it's caused over 4 million cases per year in different countries. Mortality is not as high. And yellow fever, it used to be a deadly disease. Now the vaccine is available. Nevertheless, we have 200,000 cases per year of sickness and 30,000 deaths per year. One of the most troubling diseases transmitted by mosquitoes is Zika virus. It's transmitted from mother to child during pregnancy and can cause microcephaly and other brain disorders in developing babies. Zika virus was first linked to the newborn microcephaly during the Brazilian Zika virus outbreak, and there were more than 300 cases of microcephaly. You can see here the baby with a small head. It's a very tragic situation. Malaria. Malaria is a life-threatening parasitic disease transmitted by Anopheles mosquitoes. You have to recognize that different mosquitoes transmit different diseases. It was thought that the disease came from marshes, hence the name malaria meant bad air. So this is the origination of this name. The disease was once widespread, but it was successfully eradicated from many countries with temperate climates during the mid-20th century. Today, malaria is found throughout the tropical and subtropical regions of the world. Approximately 40% of the world's population, mostly those living in the world's poorest countries, is at risk of malaria. 90% of death due to malaria occurs in Africa, south of Sahara, mostly among young children. Many children who survive an episode of severe malaria may suffer from learning impairment or blood damage. Pregnant women and their unborn children are particularly vulnerable to malaria, which is a significant cause of mortality during pregnancy, low birth weight, and maternal anemia. Just stop for a moment to think about this. Every 5 to 6 minutes, a child in sub-Saharan Africa dies due to malaria. Here's a photo of a child with most serious kind of malaria is called cerebral malaria, which affects brain, and it's transmitted or caused by malaria parasite called Plasmodium falciparum. And it's transmitted by malaria mosquito, and again, Latin name, Anopheles gambia. I will not take a test. So how do we control mosquitoes? You know well that one is the sprays. Traditional vectors control methods will remain an essential part of so-called integrative vector management. However, spraying houses with DDT is banned in most countries. In Africa, it's still being used for control. Insecticide-impregnated bed nets represent one of the most efficient ways of controlling mosquitoes and preventing diseases today. Although, personally, I would not have a pleasure to sleep within the net impregnated with insecticide. So, here you have several images in Africa, in India, in the middle. For some reason it's turned around. It's a wood block of the end of 18th century of a lady. It's Japanese print, so a lady in full dress, fully dressed, and with beautiful hair, due emergence from mosquito bed net. DDT, once the most widely used anti-malaria and anti-mosquito insecticide, was banned due to its toxic effect, particularly on birds. The population of bald eagles, for example, was nearly extinct. The book Silent Spring by Raikhel describes the detrimental effect of DDT on bird populations. However, with the lack of a similarly effective anti-mosquito insecticides, malaria got out of control. Potential problem with control methods, reduction of the effectiveness due to the emergence of insecticide resistance in mosquitoes. Mosquitoes very rapidly outsmart any type of insecticides we develop. So there's always a battle between us and mosquitoes. Also, a message to Trump: past neglect of research has hampered the development of novel insecticides and drugs. It's also a big problem that chemical and pharmaceutical companies unwilling to produce novel insecticide and drugs for poor countries. So they would rather produce agricultural insecticides against agricultural pests, or drugs like against diabetes or other countries, for countries with wealthy population. And finally, political instability of disease-endemic countries, such as in Africa, disrupts all available control methods. So there's big problems. Here you can see again a world map, and with the resistance to different insecticides. I would like to stress attention on the resistance to 4 classes detected in Africa. So we are running out of options. So this is something. But I can read the development of resistance to drugs. So this is another problem, drug resistance. Threatened malaria control. The cheapest and very effective drug, chloroquine, is now obsolete because there's a malaria has developed resistance. And malaria parasite has also developed resistance to nearly all the other currently available malaria drugs. The impact of multi-drug resistant malaria can be devastating. Here you can see a part of the world with chloroquine resistant and in dark pink areas of the world. You can see that Africa and many others are affected. And so we need different kind of novel drugs against malaria parasite. The problem is that many anti-malarial drugs are very expensive. And if African worker makes $2 a day, this is not sufficient to buy anti-malarial drug. So vaccines deliver a promise, a message to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Viral disease transmitted by mosquitoes was prevalent in the Americas and Africa. The successful development of the vaccine against this disease saved millions of lives. Dengue fever is another viral disease that is passed on by mosquitoes, affecting over 4 to even more 100 million people worldwide. Development of a vaccine, anti-dengue vaccine, is complicated by the fact that there are 4 types of the dengue virus. However, scientists have achieved the first success in generating a vaccine against the most widely spread dengue virus type 2. So there's a big hope to have vaccine against the dengue virus. Generating an anti-malarial vaccine is complex because the malaria parasite has many stages of development and lives in many organs of the human body, such as the liver and blood cells. However, progress has been made in the development of anti-malarial vaccine. The actions of the Trump administration have threatened this progress. There's an animation. So another promising technique is genetic tools. They bring new opportunities to vector control. The development of new tools of genetic engineering has facilitated functional studies of many vector species. Revolutionary techniques such as gene editing, so-called CRISPR, hold significant promise in genetic control of disease vectors and pathogens they transmit. Scientists have succeeded in genetically transforming several mosquito species and have recently produced mosquitoes which are with the reduced ability to transmit pathogens. The identification and validation of previously unknown insecticidal targets also very important development. Sorry, the glitch. So creation of a mosquito incapable of transmitting diseases. Genes are DNA fragments, as you know, with this gene consisting of a regulatory part called promoter or switch. So this is start the work. Encoding region contains information about a protein. So we have a signal. It's a signal to the gene to start, and it's produce certain product. Mosquitoes require blood meal for their reproduction. Blood activates specific genes necessary for egg maturation. Another part of this story is immune genes that contain the information about immune proteins that affect various microbes or pathogens. So, sorry, for some reason small. So what we did, we combined the blood-activated gene promoter and a coding region of an immune protein and inserted this chimeric gene back to the mosquito. After taking blood, this genetically modified mosquito activated its immune system and killed bacteria. Thus we created the first genetically engineered mosquito incapable of passing on pathogens. So this material is introduced by a very tiny needle. This is black as a mosquito egg. You can imagine how tiny it is. And it's delivered genetic material. And what's happening later, you can see the schematic diagram, cross-section of the mosquito body. As you remember, it's a female. It takes blood, and this is, you can see the bars, the red part is a promoter driving, in this case, immune factor genes. So when parasites are taken with the blood meal, depicted with blue worms, this gene is activated and produce a large amount of immune factors which kill the parasites. So this pioneering work has been published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which is a very prestigious magazine. So also was several publications in more popular scientific literature. This is in the Discover magazine, front page, said, geneticists build a better mosquito. And the article called Making a New Mosquito, Creating Transgenic Mosquitoes Resistant to Pathogens. And it was done in my laboratory. So once we have these mosquitoes incapable of passing on pathogens, we need to spread them in the population. And this is a so-called grand challenge. How do we force pathogen resistant genes in the wild population. This is very complex. You can see here replacement, black wild type, and pathogen resistant in black. So gradual replacement. That's just really an idea. And solution link genes for pathogen resistance with so-called gene drive. It is a very complicated molecular way, and I'm not going to discuss it. But gene drive experiments conducted by British scientists have been successful in field studies in Mali. But the government of this African country has abruptly halted these experiments, apparently being influenced by the Russians. So again, politics involved and negatively involved in science. So this is a little bit small. So how we control fertility? Our dinner, Lynn Coffin shared a wonderful anecdote related to this topic. 3 cowboys bragged about their shooting skills. "I can shoot a mosquito," the first one said, and he did. "I can kill 2 mosquitoes in one shot," bragged the second one cowboy as he killed 2 mosquitoes simultaneously. The third one shot at the mosquito, but it was still alive. "Ha!" 2 other cowboys exclaimed. "You just missed it." "No, this mosquito will no longer have babies." And this is how mosquito fertility control had started. In reality, sorry for the small text, I don't know why it's happened. Scientists succeeded in development and approach in mosquito reproduction control. They introduced a specialized bacteria called Raikhel into male mosquitoes. After such an infected mosquito mated with an uninfected female, she became sterile. This discovery led to the development of a mosquito control strategy based on reducing fertility and population also reduction. Over 20 countries in the world, endemic areas, have now mosquito-producing factories. Can you imagine? It's not for us mosquitoes, we produce mosquitoes now. So only Walbachia-infected male mosquitoes are released into the wild. Mosquito population reduction has been successfully demonstrated. And the mosquito sterilization strategy but mosquito sterilization strategy is not perfect, as it requires the release of millions of Walbachia-infected male mosquitoes. Walbachia-infected male mosquitoes should be sorted out from female before they are released. However, the success of the overall approach, many companies got involved in making advanced mosquito sorting machines. A parent company of Google, Alphabet, is also on board with this enterprise. My friend and colleague, Bradley White, is now the head of this Google division. So Google now not only making programs, but also sorting mosquitoes. So this is mosquito factory in China. This is my colleague, Professor Shi, and this part of the mosquito rearing where larvae grow. You can see glass where separate males from females are separated. And they're separated because they're different size, and they're filtrated, a smaller male on the bottom, so they're easily separated from females. In a cage, you can see mosquito males for release, ready for release. And you can stick your hand into this cage. Because mosquito males do not bite, nothing happens. So what do we have in our arsenal? Insecticides remain an essential way of mosquito control. As I described, bed nets are very important. Vaccines hold a promise unless it will be interrupted. Anti-malaria drugs, genetically engineered mosquitoes that are not capable of transmitting pathogens, and controlling fertility by Wolbachia bacteria. So numerous approaches have been developed for curbing mosquito-borne infections. Are we winning or losing this battle? That's a big question. And so now, again, it's doesn't work, but you can see that there's basically 270 people die and 59,000 people got sick during our talk. And I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. Was a question or a comment? Okay, Pat.
How do you explain the fact that in the northern latitudes there's no illness carried by the mosquitoes, or is there?
Well, it's a good question.
The question.
How we explain that in the northern part of the northern part of the earth, mosquitoes, a lot of mosquitoes, let's say in tundra, but they're not transmitting diseases. That's a good question. I honestly cannot answer.
And will that change when it becomes warmer up there?
That's a good question. And it's getting warmer. And for example, dengue transmitting mosquito is spreading in California and Florida and Texas. And beginning, we started to have a sign that dengue virus is spreading too. So yes.
So the population of mosquitoes is being reduced in some areas.
Mm-hmm.
What effect does that have on the overall ecological system of those who feed on mosquitoes?
Right.
Bats, for example.
Right. The question is, what is the ecological consequences of reduction of mosquito populations? Because mosquitoes are important for ecology as a food for birds, fish, and so on. The problem is that mosquitoes which transmit diseases are adapted like human blood. They prefer human blood, and as a result, there are a lot of mosquitoes multiply as we increase our population, so as this type of mosquitoes. So, for example, dengue virus mosquito likes humans, and it's multiply in our trash. So this is similar to rats. This is our result of our sort of way of living, especially in third world. So I don't think there's an ecological negative effect if we reduce population.
Just a comment, it is not that long ago that malaria was present in the southeastern United States. And in fact, one of the reasons that CDC was established in malaria, or in Atlanta, was for malaria control investigation.
Yeah.
Excuse me, is there any evidence of cross-transmission of other viruses such as Hanta or Lyme?
No. No evidence of transmission. The question is whether there's evidence of transmission of any virus or any other pathogenic organism from one type of blood-sucking organism to another. I don't think so.
We're doing this.
We have some other insect-transmitted diseases like Rocky Mountain spotted fever. They don't seem to cross over into mosquitoes, but much research being done on these.
So there is a research quite intense, especially, let's say, in Rocky Mountains, in laboratory located somewhere in Colorado, I don't remember, or Utah. So quite a lot of research has been done and being done in this for these diseases like let's say Lyme disease is an important disease also. So that's I can comment like this, but they are not transmitted by mosquitoes, so I did not focus on it.
One more. For introducing sterile mosquitoes and other things, it would seem that this has to be scaled up enormously to really wipe things out.
Yeah.
How difficult is that economically and just physically?
Well, it's a challenging question. Right now, there's an optimism in the community that it's possible. And as you see, even Google is involved. So, but whether it's a really big possibility, time will show.
Now that you're here, do you continue to be involved in all of this research and in all of this work?
Well, I don't do research anymore, but I'm still write papers, scientific papers, and also edit a lot of research. Right now I have 2 papers for review in Proceedings of the National Academy.
You mentioned the experiments going on in China. What is China's role, for instance, in Africa in trying to control malaria and such diseases?
I don't have a particular data, but I think they're involved, as they're involved in many aspects of African economy now. So they are very interested in controlling malaria because Chinese workers are making oil, using production of oil and minerals and so on. So they're interested to lower incidence of malaria. But I don't know the data.
Is there an advantage to a mosquito to be a carrier of these diseases?
Well, the question is whether there's advantage for mosquito to be infected with the virus. We don't find any evidence for this, but we also don't have evidence that virus or other pathogen has a detrimental effect, a pathogenic effect on a mosquito. So they're not getting sick of this. So that's research already established, yes.
This is just a comment. You're probably aware that the Gates Foundation has invested millions of dollars in Africa specifically, and I don't know if that's ongoing or not.
Yes, Gates Foundation continues to support different aspects. There are a lot of big grants. I participated in one too, and different aspects of human health, including this mosquito-borne diseases. And as you know, Gate sort of decided to leave his wealth, a large portion of his wealth, to for fight of different problems and diseases in the world. I wish to have more billionaires like Gates.
Some plutocrats are good guys, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, very few.
Yeah. Too bad Jeff Bezos doesn't decide to get in on the act. Or some of those. That's all. Thank you very much.